get his ultimate online.
Hoping we don't see it played quite like Angel does, because I don't think anybody can do what Angel does quite as well with these very aggressive peaks down middle, even on the defensive side. The other thing as well is I always quite like to see how teams actually utilize a Sage, because I think one of the ways you can is within hookah with that defensive wall and even boost yourself over the top to take some risks. But either way, enough theorizing. We are into our pistol round. You spoke about Vac being in those aggressive positions, and that's a start already. The paint shells will be dropped out, as it is going to be Lamp's control taken, and this can be quite valuable in after-plant situations. The only worry is the fact that they don't actually have any positioning into the toilets, so the retake's going to be very one-dimensional for the defense to come in. Only a few angles that they need to clear, and with the wall already dismantled, now it just comes down to the firefights, especially with these Brim smokes. In fact, they've even used a counter wall, and Cho in a prime position. They're already just going to defuse right in front of the opposition, and while down goes Foda eventually. Great round from Vac, even upgrades himself to a nice little frenzy. I know that's your favorite of all the pistols, and it is going to be a good start for the Lithuanians.
Yep, that is a solid beginning that you really want to see. Remember, they won both pistols on the previous map, and yet considering that and the fact that they basically got 4 rounds for free to begin with, they didn't look too good later on. So these early rounds are where they've thrived so far. And you don't want to see them going into the hands of Need More DM, or it could spiral out of control pretty quickly. Vac in pistols already been very impactful on 2 out of 3.
We've got a judge.
I like that.
Judge and jury. Are we getting Executioner? We are getting Executioner. Absolutely demolished. Just a couple of bullets is all it takes. I have to say, it's one of my favorite weapons, but then a lot of people have started telling me how BS the gun is, but that probably means I'm just going to use it more. That was a gun that I was using since the very beginning of the game, but mainly just because I'm toxic.
No, I was the same. I was using the Judge, but I play hookah a lot of the time on Bind, at least all throughout the beta I did. That's where I found my love for the Judge. Picked it up instead of the Bookie just because it costs more, and I very much appreciated that decision later on. I think I just want to quickly touch on the lineups that we've got here of agents. I think everything makes sense. You can see why there's a Sova on Need More DM, but not over towards nolpenki, because they've gone for the Jet as we expected. And for Sova, I think as long as you haven't got, like, obviously with the fact that you have BZT on the operator, but he's a Raze as well, that's also a perfectly viable agent for it. You're often going to see that the... I feel like that was popped a little bit early. You're often going to see... Sorry, you're often not going to see them picking out into a Jet. It makes sense because that's what BZT is comfortable on. So then you can afford to get a Sova instead. I talked about the merits of the information gathering. I think both of these lineups are perfectly viable. It just speaks to the personal preference of how their players like to play. And then obviously the agent sort of... Your playstyle dictates what agent you're going to pick.
Yeah, the attackers have tried to take hookah control early on, but it's actually more on Vac. These are the sort of plays I like to see him making. He's got to be careful, though, because there is a late lurk from Barcode coming through in that direction. He's got his cam. I like that. He actually uses it just to clear the slightly deeper angle while he sits on the corner. Vac actually up above. Now, you have to remember, he just cleared toilets. So from his perspective, toilets is clear, but it's not clear. An easy trade from Barcoder gives them access to the site. This is something as well I mentioned in the last take, is they now actually have control of the toilets area. It makes a retake much tougher. In fact, Cho's looking to try and come in from behind. Of course, this is their quote-unquote bonus round. It's only the SMGs available to them, so this is going to be rough. In fact, the Stim might make that Spectre just a little bit more valuable. However, Cho coming in is not going to be able to do anything, and it's left all onto the Sage of Destrian to try and turn the tide. He knows that there's an op on the other side. Does actually manage to get past it for a second, but has no idea where this second player even is, and will just look to duck out through the teleporter.
And there you go. Right back in. This is exactly how every half has played out so far. nolpenki pick up the pistol, they pick up the eco, and then in that third round they lose. But then afterward they answer back because, as you said, Tom, that was their bonus round where they've got weaker weapons, but now they get the full buy up. This is where things can be a little bit scary. You have the operator in play for Vac. Already shown himself to be a damn solid player in this tournament. And now is when his team needs him to answer up. He's usually playing in towards B long from what we've seen so far, but moving his way towards middle to get an early push through. He needs to be careful. You can't go too far back, and even the angle he's holding matters a lot because he needs to be able to instantly dash back towards that A side and into cover. And from where he is now, that's not possible. And he's taking a big risk moving forward, but he's going to spot out the information that nobody is there. And that's why you get a third man rotated to the B site. Now a raise in play, nade in hand, ready to throw it through and cause some serious damage. Having this third player is massive. If need more DM, look to push forward. They have no idea they're running into a stack.
Yeah, the boombot expended. The Bulldog, not a primary gun, but it still works out. Pedestrian, a little bit of a whiff. It's Foda's entry actually through the wall, and now the showstopper comes out. You can just see, run for the hills, lads. You don't want to go anywhere near that bazooka, but you are going to get taken down anyway. Pedestrian is gone, and BZT is now just sat on the angle, trying to control the elbow, not allow anybody back in through this position. They're going to try and dual peek him, but he gets the first and the second's not quick enough for the trade, as we see each member beginning to fall. Boo not quite as spooky with his brimstone in play, and while realistically he should just be looking to try and save an extra gun, instead he's going to get shut down. BZT is playing phenomenally well today, and someone we really have to give credit to.
Oh, absolutely. BZT has been on fire. We came in probably estimating Vac to be above. I also want to point out when he pops the showstopper, you can see how the second he does, his whole team pushes forward. And the logic for that is, if you hear that showstopper and then you hear steps, it doesn't matter. You're not going to go, oh, let's check if it's the brimstone. You're going to run away pretty damn quickly. So it almost gives you the sight for free just by Raze shouting.
This round, of course, not going to be ideal for the defense. Paint show expended and loudly just trying to counter with some utility of his own. Boo has also got aggressive now. There is a potential 1v1 towards the toilets, and actually the timing works out nicely for Loudly as well. As Tigane down, Vac, not in a bad position, but making his way around is going to be relatively difficult. And with an after plant position now, Crazy Deer has realized this is my chance. This is where I pad those stats. This is where I put up my average combat score for the day. And Mark Chope will eventually fall as well. 3-2 in favor of the attacking side. And that's actually something I want to ask you, Mitch. Like we talk about sides of maps at the moment, I think it's pretty much down to preference with a lot of the teams. But if you had to stick this to one side of the map, which way are you leaning?
I really don't know. I think, like you said, personal preference is really the way to go. Under the bus, exactly, yeah. It's going to choke me. So, Tom, if you were going to throw a raise nade early, where would you pre-nade? Exactly. And I'm going to call everyone else an idiot if they don't do it. It's like,
he can't throw him now. He's already dead.
That was a really great attempt. Oh, the res. Okay, the wall is up. I was really worried for a second. I didn't hear the wall go down. I was thinking that was a bit of a crazy play. Yeah, I respect the early attempt. Obviously, that was the idea, right? You've got the ability to go through and take that early fight, potentially take down Vac, and if it doesn't work out, well, at least you can just pop the wall and get the res.
He doesn't shoot. I love that. So he has the cam up and is spotting over the top, but he decides not to actually tag BZT, so that almost BZT is going to be sat there going, aha, I've got the leg up on him, I've already crossed, whereas Vac is now expecting this, but he's not even going to challenge that angle. I think he knows that that's way too much of a risk. I wonder if the cam's actually gone. It's not, and he even escapes. That's perfect from Vac. Takes down Barcoder. Short Foda has managed to make his way into hookah once again, but Vac is up with his third kill of the round, of course. An ace for him here would have to be 6 kills, which unfortunately is not possible anymore. But he may have done enough to at least get them back onto the board. But just like that, they both go down. Loudly now on the site. Rotation yet to come in from the Brimstone. He is going to hit that plant, but there is the denial. What? Oh, it's got completely wrong from Loudly. That was an easy kill to take, and Boo's with everything to do. He's going to try and deny the plant for a second time, and he actually succeeds. It's going to be the Flames just holding him back, but eventually the spike goes down, and Boo has done enough to delay them, but he also whips his shots. That's heartbreaking for nolpenki. That should have been a round for them to take.
Yeah, I know there's going to need more DM spams in chat after that one, but I think everybody can agree that should not have been their round. God, we don't need to see a replay of that. They're going to do it to Boo as well. No, okay, I get it at a different angle as well. I'm loving how toxic our replays are. It's just like, everybody look at this man make a fool of himself. Let's go. Oh,
that
so really sucks for Loudly. I mean, yeah. No, to miss that shot and then to have Boo whiff the spray on a half HP Sage, it just, there was no way they were winning that round with those kind of plays.
Well, some risks taken by Cho, trying to peek behind the drone to see if the man sending it out was on the other side, but it seems like Foda had his teammates prepared. The early tripwire has also been destroyed, so they're going to have to be a bit careful. That's so aggressive from Loudly. Just two players coming through. Boo will do some damage with the Molotov, but ultimately the site has been taken, and I almost wonder if this might just be a save. And while for some of the players it is, but I guess if you've purchased a Judge, maybe not.
If you crouch, it's at least a medium range weapon. You get an extra 2 meters out of it. What it actually does, it tightens up the spray a little bit, and then you also have to not spam it. You gotta tap, tap, tap.
Are you telling people to long-range tap with the shotgun, Mitch? Is that what you're trying to get people to do?
Yes.
I feel like this is just so that people play worse than you in matches. So you're like, yeah, no. It's actually as good as the operator. You just need to know how to use it, and then you're just sat there going, easy frags.
Easy ace. No, but not like it's something that you'll notice if you play Spike Rush enough, and when you come into those judge rounds, that using it at medium range, crouching and not moving, it tightens the spray, and then obviously you have to let tightens the spread, and then you have to let the spread reset, and you'll win most fights. You can almost like do double the damage output if you're using it that way on a medium range versus just running and spraying like a lunatic.
That's my style.
It's a pretty decent weapon. Yeah, exactly. But even close range, it's actually more beneficial to be crouched. Obviously, then you're not then you're static. You just stood there. You're not doing anything. So it's very easy for someone to come around and just headshot you. But if you can manage to find an angle where that works, you can connect more headshots. I shut down by Barcoder. The judge, unfortunately, not crouching that time. That was the only mistake, and not shooting.
I like the fact that he's actually used the ultimate there just to realize where the stack's going to be. It's not one of the ults that we sort of talk about as like being the most impactful unless you're in clutch situations. I think that's where it's most viable for Cypher. Cho's actually managed to sneak his way through, though. This could get a little bit dangerous, but BZT, I am loving this man on the operator today. If he can keep this sort of form into the latter stages of the tournament, it could be really worrying, even for some of the top teams that we have coming up. Of course, we already know that 2 of our semi-finalists have made their way through into the playoffs. It's just going to be the position that they make it through in. Of course, that is the Ninjas in Pajamas and G2, or formerly Gamers 2, which I know that Ocelot hates, so that's why I've decided to say it.
Well, there's only 2 gamers left on each team, and one's a Brimstone. The ult goes down, pulls them off, and Crazy Deer able to get the final kill as well, putting 6 on the board, and this is looking so damn dominant. You see what we were talking about earlier as well, when it comes down to playing the Brimstone on this map, why nobody plays Omen. Even teams that have dedicated Omen players like Boo, who plays it on the other maps, but not here on Bind. And the whole logic is, it's just, like, look at the map. Everywhere you're going to be holding, you can get multiple different areas with one Brimstone ult, especially over towards lamps. That's a massive amount if you're pushing in to be able to clear out. You can obviously do the standard, deny the defuses, deny the plants, both of which we've already seen from the last 2 Brimstone ults. And all in all, it's a more well-suited agent. Plus, any of the alleyways you're going to be smoking are perfectly sized for his sky smokes, as opposed to having to use omens to cover up larger areas.
Already Vac. It's going to be forced back to the site. Once again, we're going to see this early rotation in towards that B site. However, it does leave a relatively low defense on the other side. And it's not like we have all of the traps around from Cypher and the cams and everything that you'd normally see in a more supportive position. They're actually still defending B. So clearly at this point, we're starting to see nolpenki actually worry a bit about their initial defense on B.
Nice shot by BZT. Loudly's getting rezzed. Boo wants to get aggressive, though he hasn't spotted the player on his left, and Barcoder's able to completely shut him out. Sova trying to catch a couple players, but he can't follow up on any of those shots, and the man advantage stays to need more DM for now. Not extended any further. Destrian actually blocked out by that wall. He couldn't get over it, trying to make the jump happen, but the kills come back their way, pulling it all the way into a 3v3 with Barcoder's extra frag. And Vac, oh, he's here with the knives in hand, looking for some damage, getting it all the way in for one more, and there's a 3k. The defuse is now going to be easily obtained. And he even throws away his last couple of knives as well into the wall, just to show what he can do. 6-3, and I like that. They're giving over Destry and the ult, getting him a couple points on the board. You already saw the value that the res can bring.
Yeah, that was still pretty close for comfort. Like, I do feel like in the afterplant positions, it was almost like Need More DM actually let that one slip and allowed them back into the round. Like, sure, towards the end, they isolated all the remaining positions with the Cypher ult, and that pretty much gave them all the info they needed. Up until that point, I think they were almost playing it in the idea of like, we have off angles, but the second those off angles are all gone, it really is a bit of a worrying point. Again, the scoreboard brought up at the perfect time. We're going to see that secondary operator pulled up, but also both operator players currently in the form of Vac and BZT. I was going to say we're on 12 kills, but unfortunately, BZT kills him before I can even finish the sentence.
Of course, you got to come to expect it at a certain point. What is this from Taijin? Just running straight on through the cage into the tripwire. He's doing everything. Oh, the shot missed, but Cho gets caught by Taijin still through the gap. And with that, Destrian left in the open and shut down to open up the B site completely. But boom, my God, what an ultimate! Straight down, exactly what we were talking about earlier. You've got so many close range angles, tight little spaces that he can just nuke, essentially. Look at that little push by Loudly as well. Crazy Deer wanted to get the plant in, thought they both rotated, but no. And with that, a 1v2, they now know exactly where Foda is as well.
He's the man that I like to see in these positions, though. Probably the most cerebral player on his squad, and in a 1 versus 2, he's been tactical before. Still has some utility to play with as well, and that recon dart might be the most crucial piece. If he can work out where either of these members are, that could give him some vital info, but Loudly just connects his initial shot. So it will be 6-4. Massive round from Boo. I think he may have missed off the M at the end of his name, because that was just like a boom moment. He just ruined them.
Oh, he absolutely did. Can't do that with an Omen. I think that's why I think certainly when we started out in the beta, there was no... The merit of picking a Brimstone, I think, far outweighed that of an Omen in the beginning. But with recent updates, Omen's just taken over as a stronger agent. For most players, you can definitely see that. Not even just from an analysis of the agent himself, but just by how frequently he's being played at the moment. And I think they've done a great job over at Riot by modifying these agents to a point where Raze isn't picked by absolutely everybody. Omen is now starting to come through, but Brimstone is still viable. Jet can be played for the op rather. The only agent that I think you consistently see is obviously you get a Sage and probably a Cypher as well. And outside of that, there's a lot of debate about those final 3 agents, which is very fresh considering, you know, a month and a half ago, there were 4 agents you had every single time. And the only question was, who's their 5th going to be?
Yeah, I think now we have seen every single agent except Viper, I believe. I think that's the only one that hasn't come through at all, which a few players have said is situational, but well, I guess their situation hasn't come up because nobody seems to want to take that risk. Reyna came up for the first time yesterday onto Hip, and I'll be honest, that was one of my favorite matches to watch. He was fantastic. Another man who is still killing it. This op battle continues, and actually it's a double entry in. They've brought back BZT, and although Loudly is going to manage to get one with the paint shells, this is going to be a rough one. Also, the jump up is well timed from Crazy Deer. Another kill coming up for him, and Boo, it has to be the save. He needs to just take that operator into the next round.
Oh no, Boo. He's going to have to hit this shot now, or else he's definitely dead. He's missed it, and that's the end of him. Barcoder takes him down, and 7-4 we go. Need more DM absolutely annihilating. And it started out so well, Tom. Vac gets that opening duel, looks like it's going to be theirs, and then a sea of red just floods on through. But this time without a Brimstone ultimate. But just as you mentioned, the Viper, thinking of players like Jammies from Team Smoke Easy over in North America, one of the first teams to dominantly win a lot of tournaments over there. He used to always play it exclusively on Split, but that was based around the middle control and the value that Viper brought to it. That's not really a thing anymore. Oh, I like the BCTs on top of the wall this time. Makes it much harder to hit a flick up as well. But yeah, now that Split's much more open, much easier for the opposition, the attackers to attack or to gain any control of. You just don't see it used nearly as much. That push through the smoke. They want to go on through and cause some damage, but they run right into Taijin, who takes a triple, completely shuts them out. Crazy Deer was thinking about ulting and then realized, I don't think we quite need to.
Yeah, this half is more than done. It's going to be down to Boo to try and bring this back. He can at least pad the stats a little bit, but BZT is having none of it. It will be an 8-4 attacking half as well. Now, it is said that we talk about preference a lot when it comes to these matchups, but I feel like this map has still been at least decent for the defensive side. That round was actually really interesting because the Boombot actually goes past all three players. So from the perspective of the defenders, no one's going to be waiting for that. Unfortunately, as the orb is taken, there's still multiple players around the corner, and it doesn't matter because Tigane hits all of the shots anyway. Now moving on to the defense side, I feel like if the pistol goes the way of need more DM, it might be over.
I think there's a pretty strong possibility, although, Tom, so far, those pistols have not gone Need More DM's way. It's a 100% win rate for nolpenki. We'll see if they can do it yet again as we move on in. Looking at a three-man hold towards the A site. Nothing too unusual. Loudly with a nice opening. The nade on through as BZT punishes the low HP players afterwards. They know that a Jet managed to slip through the cracks. They saw her fly around the side. But obviously through the TP and the spike left behind, there's not a whole lot you can really do. Back's going to have to try for the 1 versus 4. And with the spike in the open, they're more than ready. The nade refreshed after 2 kills. Doesn't connect anything. But here they go. Look, 3 players swing through. There was no way he was getting away with that.
So, Mitch, are you going to apologize to all the Lithuanian fans that you just cursed by bringing up that stat?
Hey, I will say I picked Need More DM as my favorite earlier on. I said they were going to win this series, so I tried to help nolpenki. I tried to get the curse out.
They've won 100% of pistol rounds, then lose a pistol round without a single kill. You can't even write it. Did they? Okay, well, it was so irrelevant I didn't even notice it.
Yeah. Well, the 100% win rate has gone down the drain pretty quickly. And now it's 9-4 with a position for Need More DM to play from that looks pretty damn solid. That nade pop was perfect, but luckily the mini grenades afterwards don't splash any paint and ruin the clothes of any of the guys over on nolpenki. But the push straight through the smoke from Barcoder, that was absolutely incredible as he manages to shut down 2 and stop the spike being planted. Buying time for his teammates to rotate on in. A spam through the wall as well, even manages to connect as BZT is just lighting them up from afar with the Marshal.
Yeah, that's something you just can't allow to happen. That push through the smoke was huge. BZT, any scoped gun in this man's hand is absolute filth. Another pick coming up. And what a tough position for the remaining players to be in. There's no ultimates this time to deny any of the pressure. And Crazy Deer, in fact, looking like he might just try and smoke them off into the corner. They've cleared all these aggressive angles. Taijin even going to push in. It's Crazy Deer to actually find the kill. And Cho managing just one, but it won't quite be enough. It is going to be 10-4 in favor of the defending side, in favor of Need More DM. And after their victory in the first map, just 3 rounds now needed for them to make it through to the playoffs, to the main stage, and wow, against some pretty tough opposition.
It's gonna be heartbroken if you're nolpenki, really. I mean, coming into this, I'll be honest, Tom, there was a stage where I looked at my prediction, I kind of thought, I feel like I should flip a coin. It should be a close series. Gave Need More DM the faith, just because of the performance that we've seen from them recently. The Party Pirates game was strong, even though they lost it 2-0. Their Haven play was fantastic on it. But here on Bind, I really thought 3 maps is possible. I thought Need More DM would win, but at least double digits for their opponents. And with the exception, like, nolpenki won the first pistol round and the second afterwards. And now they're 10-4 down, behind by absolutely miles.
Well, channeling his inner Mixwell. An attempt was made from back, but instead the rest of the team are actually going to go pushing in towards this B site. However, Tigane in a good position to utilize that Spectre. It will be 11-4. They've had a second round to build up some cash. Of course, it wasn't something we really mentioned, but there was a heavy investment into the round prior. And now this is basically it, Mitch. This is the be-all and end-all. This is the final hurrah for nolpenki. The Lithuanians have definitely made a splash on the Valorant scene, finishing top 4 in the first qualifier and then winning the second one to get here, doing some damage along the way, almost managing to upset a map versus G2, but now they have got a real uphill battle as they need to basically win it out from here. 9 rounds in a row if they're going to take this in regulation.
One hell of a mighty task for nolpenki to even just avoid an overtime. I can't lose a single round, as you said. 9 in a row. This round starts off nice and slow. nolpenki not wanting to give away the opening duels. BZT gets aggressive in the showers and shut down. They clean him up pretty quickly. Cam goes out to try and spot something as a kill comes back into favor of nolpenki yet again. Vac sniping down Taijin. And this is looking like they've at least come back into this one to play.
Yeah, Boo again is going to be able to find a kill with his orbital strike. I believe that was in lamps, which I will say, if you're deep in lamps, it can be one of the positions that's very difficult to escape from in time. But yeah, that's so valuable that he's been able to predict those sort of positions. And that's something I feel like we're seeing a lot more in this tournament. I will be honest, I got very bored of the, oh, I'm going to bounce my molly on and then I'm going to use the orbital strike to deny the defuse. Like, it's cool, but it's sort of like that on Train in CS where you used to bounce the Molotov off the door. And I was just like, I've seen that too many times. It's not exciting anymore. Can we have something else? So the fact that a lot of players are now just starting to predict positions, I think Angel does it to an excellent degree and even almost uses it as a utility tool to take map control. And I think that's something that a lot of people have realized, even with the Omen TP ult. Like, originally that was something you use where you're like, I'll TP behind them and I'll kill everyone. It's like, well, everybody knows you're going to do that now. So it's almost used as an information gather. Like, I've seen some teams on the B side of Haven actually just TP into the very middle of B side and just go, right, I'm going to have a look around. Oh, he's there. Okay, now I cancel it, and then we go in and we have the information of where a player is. Definitely not as valuable an ult as some others, but people are using it as more information rather than, okay, I need to get like 3 kills, otherwise my ult is pointless.
Yeah, well, you can also just cause paranoia with it, where you TP, cancel, and then they think you're behind them. And they'll go clearing their backs, watching from spawn, all of a sudden you come up in front of them. That's obviously a massive benefit. Exactly, the bamboozle. That's what we love to see. The wall looking to go down in just a second. I think they've used enough utility here that it will. Yeah, they've baited it out, so Taijin's popped it. He's close to getting his ult up. I mean, 1 orb and a kill, or 2 kills, and he's good to go. So kind of valuable to get that wall out of the way. It makes it much more difficult for him to potentially get a res through. This is going to be more of just a straight-up round. PZT has his ult to play with, but doesn't have his life anymore as Vac takes him down and pulls it into a man advantage now for the attackers. They look to take the A site, moving straight on forward. The nade won't connect to anything. Foden's given away his position as well. He's caught info on 2 of them, but they're going to spam on. Look, he has to bail out from this position. No way he could fight. That was through the smoke by Taijin as well. Nasty stuff. A 3rd man rotate around on the back of the info they found. The spike can't be planted. There was a well-placed Molotov from Crazy Deer. He then gets the kill to Boom. Moving around. Foda's got another, and they're pulling it back. Even with the spike planted, need more DM of a 2-1 no-man advantage. What's just happened there? Back and Show coming in instantly. The wall is down, though. It's keeping them away. They know exactly where both players are. This defuse can go all the way through. Vac's got to be way too fast. He can't get there in time. That's heartbreaking.
Where was Vac going?
Vac TP'd after he got the kill. I think he might have dashed into it. I'm not 100% sure.
Because that seems like a misplay. Like, I don't know why he gave that position up. I'm sure, like, obviously he was being battled for, but that's a really risky rotation. And the second they heard him do that, they just got on the defuse. And there was very little else that could be done. So, yeah, I think that's a bit of a misplay for someone who we've pretty much said has been one of the pivotal players in this server. And well, that might cost them the whole series and potentially the position in the tournament. Of course, they're far enough behind that we can't solely blame that play, but it is going to be a focal point of that round. And now going forward, 12-5. They make that retake work. Credit to Foda as well, because he gets information but also stays alive for a ridiculous amount of time and is part of the team that actually manages to retake lamps as well, which in afterplant situations, if you don't have lamps, it becomes very awkward because you have to sit very far back and basically just play the time rather than just having multiple crossfires to actually hold on to the round. Here we go, though. It is going to be a long take into B. Patient play coming up. Crazy Deer actually could be caught transitioning into a new position. He does have support of the cam of Barcoder, which is actually relatively far back, but gives angles into both long and hookah, which I think is beautiful.
Yeah, it's a really nice cam. Throwing one up on top of the site. Taijin tucked in the corner. They're not expecting this now. It's loudly already dropped, and there you go. Like immediately running back as soon as they hear the BZTs pop. The show stop. Okay, the wall goes across for Crazy Deer. I was wondering why they weren't looking for him. Barcode are able to pick up Boo, though. Being pursued at the moment. Jet of close, and it's missed. Vax completely whiffed that one, and that's going to cost them at 13-5 as Need More DM take the victory on Bind and 2-0 in the series. An absolutely phenomenal game played by them. And Tom, for once, I've managed not to curse a team.